Yeah, yeah.
I sound just like you.
That's your favorite part. Every time
That
I
was the best part.
Read your shirt say yeah.
Please do. I wear it.
Yeah.
I wear it.
That's your favorite part.
With the passion. I gotta learn this. You said you need to sing me to this so I can get more love and stories, y'all.
You trade a lot, man. You getting up there, man. You trade a lot, man.
Unity, community, one love.
I was laughing at the info for that, right? CBS.
I know. Let's just talk about that one right now. Monopoly. This is start.
You actually started?
Lizzo, what up, yo?
Where Mackenzie at? Thursdays now. Oh, I feel it.
This is the stuff.
Because it's good still long. I switch. Subscribe. Both of y'all got your favorite parts. He come and say, yeah.
Like, follow, subscribe, yeah. Welcome to Above Average Black. I feel like I gotta come in with that matching energy after that. The classic followed up right after that new hot. Oh, you running it back? Got it on loop. Got it on loop. Well, for those of you that are with us on Podbean and YouTube, we are getting settled in right now. About to get things going live on Facebook shortly. But I want to thank you all for tuning in. For everybody that's with us this far, thriving and surviving either or in all of this chaos that we got going. Because it seems like every day you hear something wilder than the next. And we got a lot more life to go.
You seen it all.
Yeah, it's just when you think you've seen or heard it all. It almost feels like a movie. I find myself saying that a lot. Just certain times or situations where something happened is like, this feels like a TV show. Like this could be on TV. This is a movie and not the good ones that I like. Well, you hope where the hero wins at the end or something like. But man, that's why we had this show. Hopefully to speak some positivity. Yeah, some positivity to some.
Anyway, welcome to another
Darker Moments in Times.
Love Average Black, man. Glad you guys could join us tonight, man.
Yes.
I had to laugh because it's 32 degrees outside and it actually felt a little warm.
Felt warm today. If you are on the East Coast,
I ain't wearing a jacket.
It
wasn't that warm. It wasn't that warm.
It's like your PWAP, people without color tactics today.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because when I had to run to the store to get some salt the other day, right? And this dude was out there with a backward baseball cap, shorts, and a t-shirt. And it was cold. It was like 18 degrees that day.
But I think like it's just kind of that idea of
that's
kind of
adjusted.
Thinking. Yeah, we adjusted to that temperature where it was freezing.
We didn't adjust to that temperature.
And then now you get that little bit of 30-degree weather. It feels like Florida. Feels like Florida now.
Well, anyway, we won't get into this tonight. We're going to talk about mentoring. Investing knowledge and experience, man. And it is an appropriate topic, especially for the time we're in now.
Yeah.
Time we're in now, man. Because I got to start with Brandon Ayuk for the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what he did, right?
No idea.
Oh, man, this dude.
Now I gotta look. Let's look it up.
He needs a mentor. He needs a mentor. He signed a new contract the other year.
Yeah.
I think I know.
And he got hurt, right?
Look it up.
So all he had to do, Chris, he's $29 million a month. All he had to do was come to the team practice. Yeah, show up at the practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And show up at the team meetings. He ghosted him. So they voided his contract. That's like never happened.
Oh,
this they voided his contract. he didn't call his teammates back, nothing. He just ghosted them.
All of that, because he was holding out to get paid.
And he got paid, and maybe $29 million a year, whatever it was. But he
29.
Yeah, but he
regardless.
he ghosted them. All he had to do was go to his treatments and show up at the team meetings, and he didn't do any of that. He ghosted them. They were calling him. They had teammates calling him. He just disappeared.
Yeah, he needed a mentor, a friend,
so, and
somebody in his.
And then they make it look bad because they showed this video of him when he first got the money. He made this video and he throwing money around all these gold chains and everything.
So that's return on that. And I hope you kept that cash.
So the thing, and it's interesting because now everybody's like, well, is he, what's he doing? Is he think somebody's gonna pick him up? He
gonna come out and say something about his mental health. That is,
yeah. But it's funny you should say that because somebody said that. Somebody said
that. Try to get that Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
Try to get
that. Somebody said that. But he didn't. And the thing about it, why everybody's questioning it, because they gave him a chance to appeal, and he didn't even appeal.
Maybe he is trying to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't think he ever really wanted to be there.
Yeah, but you ain't getting that kind of money the way you just acted.
People don't think that hard.
I agree. But you're not getting that kind of money the way you just act. Who's gonna invest in you after that?
Man, take that part here. Like you
said, he is talented, so someone give him a minimum contract.
Yeah, minimum contract. So, and then the other side of the thing is, and we can get into this, but the dude who got Henry for the Raiders.
Oh, Henry Ruggs.
Yeah, he's about to be released.
Wow.
So do you let him back in because he served his time? He served his time. So the question is, does he get back into the NFL? Do you give him a chance? Yeah, he was number one draft pick, don't drive. Yeah, he was in that class with Devontae Smith and all. Yeah, he knows Devontae Smith and all.
Okay, the receiver.
Yeah. So the question is,
the Raiders.
So the question is, do you? Yeah, he's the Raiders. So the question is, do you give him a shot? I'm just saying, that's a lot of stuff is going on, man. So that's the debate. Do you give him a shot? So if you're the Eagles, and and he contacts Devontae Smith, say, yo, what do you do? Do you give him a shot? He was a very, very good player until that happened.
That is intriguing.
I would say yeah.
You would say yeah? You would of course bring him to the Patriots.
He served his time.
He served his time.
I'm with the Eagles.
It's a lot of people out here that have done similar.
Well, it's not the same thing, but still, Mike Vick, the Eagles gave Mike Vick a shot.
I was thinking about that too.
He turned his time.
I didn't want to use him and say that as an example.
But they did.
But yeah, and it is like time served.
But it ties in because Mike Vick had Tony Dungy as a mentor,
right? And
and then it kind of picked up when he got to like it started. I'm not gonna say leaked out, but he talked to Don McNabb. He started talking to people who had played, that were a little, had some time under their belt. So he had mentors, which kind of ties in what we're saying. So I mean,
yeah,
that is why I think he will get picked because him and the running back, he played for the Packers. Now he's playing the Raiders. He played at Alabama with what's his name? Josh Jacobs.
Yeah,
but he wasn't even talking about it. He was like,
because Devontae Smith would go visit. Devontae Smith was visiting him, was going to visit him and stuff like that. Yeah. And because people was giving him grief because he actually, he missed a practice, like early practice, because he won't get to it. To go. So it's interesting, man. I'm just saying, but mentors play a key role in a lot of areas in life, man. as we get into this subject.
I mean, I think even looking at who all the individuals that we're talking about, they play probably a great deal at each level, whether it is probably before they got into these situations, whether they had mentors or not, or they were actually listened to them, or they were good mentors. While they're living these lifestyles, like who they have around them mentor-wise, and then to the like afterwards, you mentioned Michael Vick, like whose brothers going to have around him, like as a mentor. I mean, Michael Vick might be a good person, just not relatable in terms of like the level of the crime, but just maybe even how to come back, reinvent yourself, and
I don't know how
ignore the outside noise.
I don't know how they measured the criteria, but Tony Dungy, they handpicked the Eagles because they thought that was the best place for him. I don't know what the conversation was with him and Andy Reid, or how how he determined Philadelphia was better.
I think it was Andy Reid.
I mean, yeah, he did say Andy Reid, but I mean, I don't know because until then, Andy Reid wasn't exactly known for mentoring people. So I'm just saying,
True.
But he did.
But
it worked out really well for him. It worked out really well. I mean, it's been around, but I'm just saying, in that case, it worked out. He plugged him in, man, and Michael Vick is a huge success story.
Yeah. And I mean, I think fortunate he did have some guys that was willing to be in his corner and go to bat for him and give him some guidance when he needed it. But I think at the core of our conversations tonight, we wanted to just kind of talk about mentoring, the importance of it, and a little bit, I know for me, how it's lacking.
But I want to start out because you said something that I thought was interesting, and you said good mentors. So you think there's bad mentors?
Yeah.
No, I'm just sorry. No, I mean, because that's most people don't talk about that. They talk about mentors. They never say like, what's the like I do training, so I do, but nobody typically asks what's the qualifications for a good mentor versus a bad mentor.
You want to know what's actually funny about it? I think probably more so now than ever in history is where you have to have these conversations about bad mentors, because there's con artists and scams out here that's claiming that they the life coach, or they this expert at this, or I could mentor you in this and this. Their whole business is getting money off people just to feed them a drink. Like, so
you gotta pay for it now.
Yeah. And
$99 a month.
It's crazy to me. Like the idea, like people just out here, just everybody, because there are some people that are thirsty looking for mentorship. And unfortunately, there's the other side of it where there's people who are kind of just using that as an opportunity
I think that market,
to prey on those people.
But I think that market was created because there are some people who want instant success too.
True.
They don't want a true mentor. They want to just kind of shoot through the ranks. They don't want somebody that's going to say, slow down, take it easy, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So you sign up for somebody that's going to tell you you're going to be great, and you kind of miss the whole character part. The part that you need to stay great, to stay relevant. And I think you see a lot of that in sports. Guys come out. It's not talent. It's not for lack of talent. It's just character.
Yeah, Zion Williamson.
Yeah, and just think how brilliant he was to them.
Mentor.
Zion,
John Morant,
a mentor. John Morant, and that's somebody. And these are people who have father figures.
And I always get into this conversation about just because the guy's in the house does not mean he's a good dad. And I think we measure the society by if the dad's in the house. There's dads in the house that's not engaged at all with their kids. There's dads in the house who, to your point, just bad role models.
Yeah.
So it's more than just being present. What are you teaching your kid, man? What are you putting into your kid? And I think that's where the numbers kind of get skewed because they measure who's home and who's not home versus who's home that has some character. And that's why I asked the question, because people don't often talk about bad role models.
Right.
They talk about the guy that's doing all the great, like everybody talks about the great success Tony Dungy had. But for every Tony Dungy, I'm sure there's coaches out there who, did things a little different.
And I think this really came up because, we see it a lot around sports and like seeing it with, of course, in youth sports, but now we're seeing it kind of at the professional level. Like, the highest level of basketball, like you see it where just kind of bad mentorship or leadership or guidance is just bleeding out from these dudes, and they just making childish mistakes that you think that they shouldn't.
Well, I think
based off of the people that they had, quote unquote, around them throughout their lives.
But I think that there's several.
Like now, you question the leaders.
But I think there's several contributing factors to it. I think the first thing is, and we talked about I mean, everything is captured on social media now, and that's good as it's good and it's bad. It's bad because people see it as quick. They do stupid stuff because they want their 15 minutes of fame. They're not thinking about, to your point, the repercussions. Wow, this, they don't think, well, if I put this out there, this video is going to outlast me. 20 years from now, somebody can pull this video up. And I think the other part of it is, money has a lot to do with it because people, and this goes back to my 85% of people are selfish. People are so scared to say something because they don't want to be cut out. Devin got the money, and I'm hanging around Devin. I don't want to tell Devin anything that's going to make him angry because he might cut me out. Man. I might not. So you see a lot of. Allen Iverson talks about that. How he said, well, somebody told him how you can tell your friends is tell them no, and see what happens. And he lost a lot of people that's hanging around when he started saying no.
And I think that's again like to bring everything tied together, like the point that we were making about just in sports. I just hate because I want to get back to coaching, and I think like that's one of the places where you used to be able to kind of find people who were mentors and add it for the heart, like one of the last few places. But then now it's just so much about the winning. And if this kid's good enough, you let certain things slide or behavior slide. And I feel like I've seen it happen to kids over the time. And then like we let these little behaviors go, and then now they teenagers or they in college and then they struggle.
Well, not even that. I think what happens is, I think this is the part that society seems to miss this part of the equation. You start to let it slide with this group. The group coming behind it sees it. So they think they can get away with it. And unfortunately, it gets worse. And I think you see that more and more. I think your high school basketball experience really was eye-opening. I talked about this with people from Canton. There was a huge difference from your group and the next group. And it wasn't just talent. It was like all of a sudden you had this group who were polite, who did what they were told to do, whether they liked it or not. Parents who came out the stands and knocked them out. Then you got to the next group, and I'm not going to say any names, who were a little disrespectful, talking back, and the coach tolerated. Then you got to the group after that where they just downright cursed out the coach. Cursed. So I think when people see it, and we assume that everybody's mature enough to handle it, and they're not. And I'm seeing it when I'm in these schools working with these kids. This generation of kids, even though they've been exposed to so much more, they are very immature emotionally. They're not mature emotionally at all.
I think some of it too is like even from that sports analogy or reference that we were kind of using, like they're not held to a higher standard or the same standard. Like I feel like just thinking about again using Ken as an example, like when you and other y'all were coaching us as your sons, like y'all cracked the whip. You didn't hold like us any different than anybody else that wasn't your son. Like it was always held. And then again, just from coaching, like you see a lot more people that might, all right, this kid or my son or is not looked at the same as everybody else, and that's okay.
But that's when
then it just is a snowball.
But that's where the emotional immaturity comes in because nobody's holding you accountable, so you continue to grow up like that. Yeah. So now all of a sudden you run into somebody who's saying, "Hey, we're not going to tolerate that, and you can't cut it." So I think
But why is that? Why do we see that?
I think there's a lot of reasons. I think one, we got it because
cool, want to be friends.
I think parenting has changed because I deal with parenting. I do the father and parenting. That's one discussions that I get into a lot. Where you're not trying to you're trying to be a kid friend. You're not your child's friend. The other part of it is you got people out there like is a kid I'm working with now. Good kid. 17 years old. And he has a 1-year-old. And then talking to him, his mom was 18 when she had him. So what you see is it starting to repeat itself. And at 18 years old, I was dumb as a bag of rocks. I didn't have a whole lot of wisdom to give him at 18 years old. I was still finding myself, So, and I'm not saying somebody's dumb, but you just don't have a lot of knowledge to pass on.
Yeah.
And then you get to the fact that, and this is not, a lot of single moms do a great job, but then if you got some moms who they parent, that's my boy, that's my baby. And you treat them like that.
16 to 15.
I'll never forget when I was on stuff in Chester SEI, the workshop in Chester State Correctional Institute, and I had this group of dudes, man, it was about 15 of them. And they were all young. And we were talking, and I was like, how did you end up here? Because they were all pretty intelligent. And I remember they said something to me and I never forgot. They said, we were being prepared for this, unbeknownst to us, since elementary school. I said, what do you mean? Because when we got in trouble in elementary school, we were just little kids. When we got in trouble in junior high school, we were going through growing pains. When we got in trouble in high school, we were trying to find ourselves. When we got out of high school, they locked us up.
It was always more like.
But there was probably someone telling them, listen, I can't get.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you get out in the real world and there's a level of accountability. I say it all the time. School is the biggest anomaly there is because people mistake school for the real world. And they graduate school thinking, oh, I got away with this when I was in high school, cursing the teacher out, smacking the teacher, punching somebody in the face. Now I'm in the real world. They're locking me up now. They're killing me. It's different. It's because you got students swinging on teachers. There was a video going around over this year, man, where a teacher was trying to break up a fight and a bunch of kids jumped on the teacher.
That's why I can't teach.
I give him credit too because he was better than me because he was like pushing and shoving. I think at that point, man, this man is a grown man and going on. No, but I think the level of maturity. I'm working with some kids in high school, and I'm in about 6 schools now in the area, 5 schools in the area, and I got from 5th grade to 12th grade. The silliest group, the most immature group I had is the high school kids. It's crazy. They're laughing, they're giggling. Girl walk past, they screaming. I mean, they just so immature, and I'm shocked at that. I'm like, how? The 5th graders act better than you. The 6th graders, the 7th graders, the 8th graders. It's like, so how do you get the 9th, 10th, 11th grade? And maybe I shouldn't be shocked, but when I put the whole thing together totality, the middle school kids behave better than you. Something's wrong with that picture. Now maybe I shouldn't be shocked, but that's not a good picture.
It'll change when they ain't gonna get to the high school and start acting a fool.
But see, but I think the difference is I see a concerted effort now of bringing in people. Like I'm in the school now, I couldn't get in before. They're bringing in people to mentor and do different things, and I also think people are starting to realize that
we had to do something different. Like I think that's a big part of it. Is like this old guard idea of like just the teachers just relying upon them to be the mentor, be the teacher, all of these different things in the classroom. You need to be outsourcing this and bringing in people, I think, like yourselves and other. I mean, because it takes a community. And like you said, if it's not happening at home, like, it has to be other places and other things.
Well, I was talking about this today in the train. I was talking to a young lady, and she was asking me about, and I asked, I also had this conversation yesterday. I think there's three factors that you deal with in school now that play a huge role. One, you're not paying enough money to attract males. So there's fewer males taking these jobs. Because you can't ask a guy to have to be married and raise a family.
I was about to say,
you're not paying enough money.
I can't be a teacher.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So you losing that group of people. You're losing a group of people. And I gotta buy my own supplies. I think they get a $200, $300 stipend to buy supplies. Come on, man, you can spend it at Walmart in an hour. So I think for a year, I don't know, but and I think the second thing about it is, a lot of teachers, and I'm not saying this wrong, so if you're watching this, please don't get upset, but very few teachers live in the district they teach in now.
Oh, yeah.
So if I'm teaching, I live out here, I'm teaching in school in North Philly, do I really have a vested interest in the community?
I'm trying to get home.
Yeah, do I really? And even if I do care, and that's teachers who care, so I want to make it abundantly clear. But that creates a different conundrum. It does, because now all of a sudden, I'm not impacted by how these kids act after school because it's not my neighborhood. You know what I mean? I'm in a whole different environment. My kids not here, nobody's impacted. And then I think the third thing is you don't have enough African American males in the system. Because and people say it don't matter, it does matter, because I meet too many teachers who can't connect because of the cultures.
Yeah. And you know what it is? It is not even just saying in I think even just in the general sense, because Angela, fiance, been doing some subbing at schools in the county, and the amount of love that she's been getting from like just kids of color out there and then like just it was one kid in particular story she told me is like this young black kid, they said he don't talk, and whenever they have a new teacher, a new sub, he just kind of standoffish. Angela going there, he raising his head, can I help, can I do this, like, because he just was happy to see somebody that looked like him too. But
see, you know what, and not just look like him,
understand,
but be approachable.
Yeah,
and she's approachable, and it's cool because No, she's approachable, but she also has that boundary.
Yeah.
So, and kids want a boundary. Kids don't want to act wild all the time.
They love that. It's ridiculous.
But I'm gonna say, so we talking about mentoring, and if I'm shaming you by saying this is on purpose. No, it is.
Shame.
No, I did a test. No, I did a test. I've designed the Rites of Passage program for kids, 12-week program, and it's a different topic each week. So what I did was I'm asking people to participate through video. So I sent out about 20 text messages a day. Yours is coming. And in the text message, no, because what I asked them in the text message was, I said, hey, do me a favor, commit, I need you to create a video, a 2 to 5 minute video on this topic. And I gave them a list of stuff on the topic, how we connected, what you do, why you do it, different things of that nature. Out of 20, you know how many I got back? 2?
1.
I got back 4.
Hey,
no, but check it out. No, but I'm gonna tell you how crazy it is. 2 to 4 I got back.
I got food.
They so mega busy. I was shocked. Because one of them, True Petty, I'm giving him shout out True from King. He used to be a DI person for the Charlotte Hornets. So he's doing a lot of moving, shaking, doing stuff, consulting and stuff, and he responded. I was like, yo. And then the other guy is James Trigg Rousseau. You may not remember him, but from the Covenant, but he owns what's the gospel radio station? Yeah, he's doing big things. He's doing a lot of big
one down.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the one internet one, the huge one I'm talking about. So that and he got back to me. But there's people who retired not doing squat who didn't even respond to me. One dude responded with, "Yeah, I'm trying to make some contacts in Philadelphia." Dude, that's not what I asked you. So yeah, so I say that because there's a lot of people out there who talk a lot of smack but do nothing.
And I was actually going to say that.
Hey Wayne, what's up, man? We're not ignoring you, man.
The same exact thing. It's like, I mean, that's the culture almost that we live in. Online is that you see so many people that just have something to say. Honestly, like they got a problem with something, they want to talk.
I'm done.
And they're not necessarily about the action or willing to take the steps. Like even given we know that there's a problem in our community. We talk about the lack of mentors, or in this case, it's like sometimes the people who are there aren't necessarily there for the right reasons and kind of misguided. But then we do is we ultimately just talk about
my new stance is this. You do not have the right to complain to me if you're not doing anything. Don't come to me talking about what's wrong with this generation, that we need to do this, because there's no more we. That's my new stance. There's no more we, because you're not doing anything. And I give you a perfect example. There's a guy, James. James, the short New York life guy. I can call James up, and James got a very busy schedule. If I call and say, James, I need you. When you need me, he looks at the calendar, he'll make it work. Now he can't be there every time, but if I call him and say I call him and say, yo, James, I got this dude I need you to come talk to. I'm there every Tuesday. The calendar, I'll be there next Tuesday. But then I got some people, man, who do nothing. You sitting home all day long. But you talking about what's wrong and we do this, and now I'm addressing Christian folk, and get mad if you want to, I don't care. No, because we have these sermons on Sunday about what's wrong with these kids. We do. We do these podcasts about this, the generation is doing this, and somebody not taking care of their kids, and we do all this great stuff. But when it's time to put the work in, you can't find anybody. And I'm amazed by it, because to me, you shouldn't be criticizing if you don't want to be part of the solution, then be quiet.
Yeah.
And I think I see more and more that, and I'm not attacking Christians, but we have more churches around the city, than we have McDonald's. But McDonald's
has a lot of McDonald's.
Yeah, but McDonald's they got a deeper penetration than we have. I think, heck, I go out on a limb and say, the chicken joint probably reach more people than we do.
Which one?
What's the
Dave's?
No. Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A. We just plug all these chickens.
I'm just saying. So I think that's another thing that's wrong, because it used to be take a whole village, to raise kids, man. And it was really a whole village. Now it's like, we sit back, we talk, we criticize, we do all this great stuff. Even coaching. Coaching used to be about building character, man. I know. You wanted to win, but you wanted to do both. You were proud to say you built young men. Now it's about You winning, your kids going to jail.
Yeah.
You winning, your kids not graduating.
Don't even care about what happened to him afterwards. It's like, yo, we got the championship.
Or the stuff you see happening in school should not be happening in school. You know, and so it's like it's like we gave up discipline, you know, for notoriety. You know, yes. Yeah, I'm winning, but half my team ain't graduating. You know, I'm winning, man, but you know, most of my players, they got some kind of.
But you know what's funny is like even just broader than sports, that idea of giving them giving them discipline for just the idea notoriety. Like you see it from a parent standpoint. Like sometimes, you know, back in my coaching days, you see parents is like they homies with their kids. Like some of the ways that you see them interacting and talking, it's like, where's the level of respect? And if you don't respect your parent, why would you have a respect for any other?
This I'm gonna tell you.
Oh, so now that's why you talking to people all crazy.
The rites of passage that I designed for middle school and high school, you know, and this is the sad part about it. There's men who need to take this same thing. You know, I was talking to somebody today. We were talking today through text message that, you know, I'm going to offer this because there's a lot of men out there who are only grown in age-wise, but maturity-wise, emotionally, they're not. You know, and that's where part of the problem comes in, because you're asking this male to be a man, and he's not. But you put him in that role. He's having kids. He's becoming a dad. You know, he's becoming a father, man. He's head of household, and he still act like he in high school.
I mean, it's a little convoluted, honestly, on what a man even looks like to a lot of people.
Well, we did a whole show on that, so I'm not disagreeing with you on that.
Right, I agree. I think you hear from so many places, too many places, of what a man is supposed to look like. I mean, sometimes, honestly, it's like you hear it probably from women sometimes.
Yes, you hear from
the wrong people.
But that's why you're absolutely right, Wayne. They don't. But see, that's the problem, though, because the only reason they have voices is because the right people are not saying it. That's the problem.
It's like,
so you give these people a platform, and I go back to, like,
and then we just put it in like, how many women you can get.
I'm gonna pick on the church folk again, and I know church folk can be upset, but that's life. Get over it. You know, because I've heard people complain about the way somebody acted in church. Or this single mom, this little boy. But did you go over there? Did you offer to help?
That's the only thing I'm trying to beg.
But no, you can go over to somebody and say, hey, you know, I see you have a little problem here. You know, you don't have to crack.
Get out my face.
But see that I disagree with that. There's a lot of women who would like help because they don't know what they do. Now, there's some out there who would be like that, but there's some women like, yo, who need a break. You know, I deal with moms sometimes who they wish they could get a break because it's a handful trying to raise these boys. Because, and I know people get upset when I say it, every boy's going to find some man to affirm his manhood. That's a fact of life.
They want it to an extent.
That's the fact of life. But there's some women out here.
When they say they want the support, it's like,
I think it depends on
I just want a little bit of a break, but it's like,
I think,
don't talk to my baby like that.
I think that's unfair to paint a broad stroke.
I'm not painting a broad stroke. I said some.
I do think there's some like that. But there are some who are starting to realize that their kids are being eaten alive in the system right now. It's some who really starting to realize that, yo, these kids are being eaten up. You know, and so, but you know, but Chris, that's society's like that. Society runs in cycles.
Yeah.
And this is not a knock on anybody, but you know, people are sometimes not the most intelligent people. A lot of times people go with the fad.
Yeah, we emotional beings.
They go with the fad. Yeah, they go. Well, I'm being nice there, but they go with the fad, and then typically it's too late. When stuff starts happening, you start seeing repercussions generation. Then people wake up. Oh yeah, I got to do something. Like now, they're building. ICE is trying to build 14 new giant-sized prisons across the country right now, and people saying, "Oh yeah, I'm listening to black people." Well, who do you think gonna be in there?
Where's the money coming from?
It ain't nobody being funded. The president is funding them. They being funded. But you know who's going to be in it? It ain't that many immigrants in this country. It's going to be us. They're going to have to do something to fill them prisons up when this whole ICE thing starts to thin out, and we don't understand that. But we're graduating kids who can't read, who can't write. We try to run a program, Philly Reading Coaches. I try to get volunteers to help the kids. Nobody want to sign up. You can't get them to sign up. But then they talk about how illiterate the kids are. Mm-hmm. But they won't give you one afternoon, you know, and you know, I talk to a lot of dudes, and if they watching, they're gonna be pissed off. You know, hey, this is you, it's you, where the heck? But you know, you talk, but you don't do anything. Mm. And I go back to when I was growing up. supposed to be this poor neighborhood. It wasn't like that, man. People got out there and coached. I had coaches that didn't have any kids that coached us, man, and held us accountable.
I mean, I was a coach like that.
You sure? Yeah.
And then then it got to a point where now people think that's weird. Like, are you getting paid or like, nah, just enjoy being a mentor?
And don't care. Don't care.
Yeah.
No, don't care. You care, man. So I think, and this goes back to what I said, and we debate about this all the time, and I think the number is low. I think 85% of people in this world are selfish. So that's why mentoring is dying down, and the stuff people used to do just fall into the wayside, because until it hits home, people don't care.
Yeah, I think it's so many factors that I think are contributing to, like, because there are.
What's a few?
Let's talk about a few. Because I do think there are people that are starving and still looking for information, but it's just that idea of like, it's a little bit of an information overload sometimes. I think you just say it's like a shortcut, fast thing, like people.
Yeah, they think money is support. Yeah.
And like
I sat down with a young man, and I'm not gonna get to, because one of the people in the room, we sat down with a young man, a whole group of new young men he brought to me, and he's from Northfield. He moved out here, and he's he's a real McCoy, real thug McCoy. He ain't like the rest of these dudes out here. Yeah, and he was a little hard when I was talking to him at first, and he says, well, let me, and it's funny because when he was talking in front of the other guys, he was cursing, not disrespectful, but that's how they talk. So, he says, well, can you hang around? So I hung around, and we sat there and we talked afterward, and he didn't curse one time, but he told me why he's like that, why he don't trust people. He went through his whole history of the stuff, the trauma and stuff that he's been through, and so where's it, and somebody in the school, and him, is working with him, but where's the village at? And it's a smart kid. He looks like the street though. He got the dreads and the hat and the hood and everything. But when you hear him talk, you can tell this ain't no dummy.
Right.
But he's hard. This ain't a phony faking guy, because he's asking legitimate questions. He's asking you like, I hear you talking about this, but how are you supposed to do this when this is your situation? And I say that because even out here, where's the guys at? Where's the people that volunteer to go into school? You complain about how the school is getting worse and the kids, but you do nothing. And the school is trying to do the best they can. I'm on a call on Mondays. It's about 50 of us, and maybe 10 don't live in this area. Yo, how many actually do stuff? I ain't gonna get into that. And some of them have legitimate reasons. They're 70, but there's some young guys on the call, man, who talk a lot of smack and do nothing. But they quick to tell you, we didn't do this, or what do you think is wrong with these kids today? No, what's wrong with them?
Everybody, right? It sounds good. Dude just want to be the smartest guy in the room, and be like, well, I had this intelligent answer or response.
So Wayne said, what is it, and what can we do? See, and Wayne is a perfect example. If you can, Wayne, I think sometimes we always think we have to do something. Sometimes you just need to be present. Sometimes just be in the room, man, when some other guys are talking to these kids so they can see some positive men, man. Just be there. We always think we got to be giving a speech. We always think we got to be up front. We got to be the one that's leading the whole crew. Nah, sometimes you got to come. It's like when I used to come with you and help you out, you were the coach. And I was okay with that. You built so many relationships with those kids, man. When we went to Cam, man, everybody carried Lane. It's okay sometimes. Like Wayne, I credit Wayne this all the time. Wayne barely said 5 words to Cam. You know what I'm talking about. You run into his wife sometimes. It's okay to have that role.
Yeah. And then, like you said, just kind of being there.
Not anymore, man.
Might be 1 or 2 kids that's drawn to you.
Gotta be the boss. Gotta be the man. I have 2 of these cities. It says more than enough, man. And you are enough. And I wear them. And you know how many conversations with adults started because of the hoodie? It was cold last week, so we went to King of Prussia Mall because we wanted to get out. It was freezing. By the way, it was a mistake because I think everybody in the Northeast region was at King of Prussia Mall, man. So it was cold. I'm thinking anybody coming out because it's cold. I was wrong, but anyway, we got into a whole conversation with the manager of the restaurant about the hoodies. There's so many people out there who deal with issues about how they see themselves. And there's so many people out there who can help by just being nice to someone, just spending time investing. You'd be surprised how much a kind word to a kid makes a difference. I've been in rooms with kids cussing everybody. We have a 2-minute conversation. All of a sudden, they're saying yes or no, sir. The the hardest dude in the class, yo, you coming back next week? You know, and I think, well, we got this thing, man, where we talk about them, we write books about them, we preach about them, we using stats to get grants to make ourselves look good. We launch podcasts, but we don't do anything.
To show up to shoot the documentary.
Yeah. We come with the camera and everything. Like all
good talk to you kids. Best of luck.
Yeah. Well, we're here to talk. We're here to work with you to, you know, see why you can't go to college and everything. And why as soon as the cameras go off, man, oh man, I'm praying for you. So I think we
see when we get this award.
And I think we have to start to look back at the, you know, so we talked about the negatives that come out of mentoring, and that's positive, you know, and everybody don't have to go to college. So I want to make that abundantly clear, man. College is not for everybody, but you know, you can help somebody understand the importance of getting an education. You know, everybody's not going to be an A student, so we got to stop that too. You know, you ain't trying because you get maybe you're a B student. That's just, you know, I still think C students run the world. That's just me.
They do.
I think C students run the world.
They do.
But I think, you know, just being present, man, you know, being an example, having positive conversations. You know, this young man came to me and he said, so this is my beat for church again. He came to me and he said, hey, let me ask you a question. You sound like a nice guy. You know, I heard you a pastor. He said, let me ask you a question. How come every time I walk in church, he tells me the first thing he says, take me out? And sometimes they say it with an attitude. So I'm telling this story to a bunch of guys. I hate to use the term religious, but a bunch of Christians. You know, just to see what they're going to say. Oh, he need to take his hat off. So I'm like, wait a minute. You know, okay, you know, he shouldn't be there going for 40 years wearing a hat, but he came in with a hat on. What's the big deal? If he comes in with a heart, he's trying to learn more about Jesus, trying to straighten his life out. What's the big deal? And they were saying all this stuff. No, but then what he said to me was, and then I shared this with everybody last, he said, the reason why I take my hat off because I had a fungus in the back of my head. And I didn't want everybody to see the fungus in the back of my head. So my point is, you want to stop a guy who's trying to do the right thing, turns because he had a hat on. And then, you know, ironic about it, because then their pastor preached about it, and it was okay. And then I got a friend who just came in from Charlotte. I'm gonna get on the show. He's the pastor there to Imagine now. I was trying to take him out. I get he got a fitted hat on, a denim suit on, and sneakers. Yeah, and the church is full.
Fitted in a denim suit.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you had a jacket and jeans. And then, no, they don't think not a suit. You know, I'm talking, you know, he had a jacket on the jeans.
Canadian touch.
I didn't say suit, man. I should have said suit, but he had a jacket on and he had on a pair of jeans. And he gave a great word. And he gave a great word. And he was not any less anointed because he had a hat. And I'm not saying, you know, be disrespectful, but I'm saying the stuff we hang our hat on instead of investing in people, we get caught up on things. Like, I know kids who need a haircut and they don't want to take their head off because they don't have a hair because they need a haircut. Now, it's no big deal to me, but I kind of get where they're coming from because they friends be on them. They friends be cutting them up, man, in front of the class, in front of the whole class and everything, man. And so I can say it's no big deal to me, but to a kid that's 8 years old, 9 years old, or 12 years old, it's a big deal. So I think mentors can come into play, man, and help people, you know, help these young kids discover it's okay to be different. You know, it's okay to find out who you are. Stop trying to be like somebody else. Mentors can come. People with mentors are more likely to be successful. You know, and,
yes.
And when I'm dealing with adults, I can tell adults who haven't had a mentor. One of my key questions I said is, how many want to be successful? Everybody raise their hand. How many want to be happy? Everybody raise their hand. What does success look like? Crickets. What does happiness look like? Crickets. How you gonna be something you don't know? You know why? Because they've never had those conversations about
something to say. You think it's to say.
But you should know, and this is where mentors come in to help people. And success is different for everybody. But mentors can help somebody who may not understand that, you know, that you can be successful whether you're a barber, you know, if you want to be a truck driver, whatever you want to do, just be good at it.
Yes.
You know, and have and be able to support yourself at it. You know, everybody don't need a white house with a picket fence and all the kind of things like that. So I think mentors do that. Mentors help these kids figure out life, man, because some of these kids got some jacked up family homes. I mean, their homes is like, yo.
Yeah.
You know, and you hear some of the stuff, man, it tugs at your heart, man. You know, and growing up in the hood, you think you see everything. And then you end up these kids like, yo, this shouldn't be happening in 2026.
Yeah. 13 going on 30.
Yeah. You know, kid, I got to work, man, because, you know, I got to help support my family.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can't tell him, you want to holler at him because he falling asleep in class, but he working all night trying to put money in it so he can take care of his mom and his little brothers.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
I will say this though, you have to want to be receptive to it. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
you have to want to listen, because a lot of these, and I'm not blaming on solely on them because they probably get it from somewhere else. A lot of the kids, you can't tell them anything. They act like they know everything.
I agree, and I think is the problem with that is they just make so much noise. They draw a lot of attention. But there is a good number of kids, I'll use that term, a good number of kids who want to figure things out but don't have anybody to help them figure it out. But there are a lot, to your point, there's some man that, you're right. You can't tell them a thing, man. You can't tell them a thing. I told the kid last week, I said, your why grew up at, man. They had took your sneakers, made you walk home barefoot and dared you to say something. And he didn't look at it. You out here in the county being a tough guy. Your mom moved you out here to give you a better education, and you trying to act like you back, in the hood. So I do agree with you, but mentors, and it's not for everybody. So let me make it abundantly clear. But that's one thing in the rites of passage we're going to do. We're going to teach these kids about character, about integrity, what it means to be a part of the community. What it means to be responsible, what it means to have somebody hold you accountable, what it means, to work towards excellence. At the end, we have a formal dinner. We're gonna teach them how to tie a tie. I wish I had suits to give them, but my pocket don't run that deep. But we're gonna teach,
talk to Joseph A. Banks.
We're gonna teach them out. We're gonna teach them out. They ought to, because they were founded on slave money.
Hey, send them a letter that talks
about
that.
Them and Brooks Brothers. They were founded on slave money.
Send them a letter that talks about that.
Look, man.
They were to give back. And
they were what they did was they were associated with their companies, made their money by either lending plantations, funding plantations for slave ships, or funding the plantations itself. So a lot of the companies in the North got their hand in slavery, man. Yeah, a lot of these investment firms, they made their money out of slavery. Yeah, man. I'm telling you, in the East, they may not have been actually slave owners, but
they changed their company logo for Black History.
Well, it was funny because we did our show on that last night, because there's Black people don't think we should have Black History. That's a whole different story. I've met Black people who think we shouldn't celebrate Black History.
It should be all year.
No, they think that I had somebody tell me that they thought it was we were creating an idol, and that when we get to heaven, everybody will be the same color anyway. And there are some Black people who think that it's just not
creating an idol.
I'm just saying, there's some African people who look like us who don't think, who think, just like there's some people who don't look at us think that's how we start racism or how we divide the country, because that's why that's the premise they're trying to take it out of schools. When mentors come in too, because you can help teach these kids Black history. You can help teach these kids that they're not descendants of slaves, man. They came from kings and queens. That we have a rich history, that we have inventors, that we built this country.
And I just think with the whole history, it's like we know that it's not going to be told accurately.
Of course not.
How is that creating a hype? Like, my whole thing is they put presidents' faces on money. Well, people care. That's not creating.
But this goes back to what you've been exposed to, and what you listen to, and who you deem of being authority. I say this one thing about this country right now. If you're charismatic and you can speak with authority, man, you could be wrong. People they're not looking at the facts. They checking out the tone. I say this all the time. And there's some churches, man, where I think the pastor get up there and preach the ABCs and people be hooping and hollering. Because they like, look at Agent Orange we got. There's people who, he openly says stuff that just makes no sense. And so you have some people, Devin, who they just don't, for whatever reason, they're attracted to people, or they're attracted to what they think this person believes, even though the person's on totally opposite.
And that's why we are where we're at right now.
Oh yeah. But this is why people gotta get involved, man. People gotta get involved with these kids, because what's happening is gonna become generational. Like the big conversation is, Nicki Minaj. Everybody talking about that, because she's Donald Trump's best friend now and all kind of stuff like that. But there's people who kind of fall into that trap.
Send her right back to Trinidad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but if somebody does not step in and start talking to some of these kids about, look, hey, dignity, that stuff does matter.
Dignity.
These kids. It matters, and these kids don't understand character, integrity, dignity. They don't get that. I sell out. It's about money
because
you hear grown ups say that.
I think we live in a society where it's almost kind of funny. Like when you keep mentioning the idea of like 85% of people are selfish, it's because we've been pushing so much of that for the past. I don't even know how many years it's been where it's like, well, get yours because I'm gonna get mine, or like it's just that type of culture and mindset has been permeating throughout society for a long time, and it's caught up.
But let's look at some quick facts. It says youth mentors are 55% more likely to enroll in college. And we agree college is not for everybody, so I don't want to make that stop. Mentor youth are 46% less likely to start using drugs. Mentor youth are 52% less likely to skip school. One parent adult significantly improves emotional and academic outcomes. We talked about that. Communities with strong mentoring networks report better youth engagement. And it is. Communities with like strong sports teams, that's typically why. Because they have a community thing. Somebody is investing in these kids, man, to keep them coming out, to keep them playing, and versus communities where there's no community engagement and they can't get 3 people to fill a team. It's crazy now.
Disappearing.
Yeah, well, because you got to. This is with each generation, it becomes more and more about engagement. And the generation we have now, they're they audio and visual. That's them. That's how you got to connect with them. It's not a lecture generation where you can stand up there and talk for 40 minutes and hand out papers and stuff. You got to engage them. You got to reach them where they are, man.
Yes, you do.
Look at the pros, man. You look at the pros and the coach be drawing something, there's always 2 or 3 guys in the hole looking all over the arena. Yeah, what's going on up there? Yeah, what's going on up there? Oh, did you see him pop? You see that fine girl over there? He's trying to draw a play for the game. Yeah, so I think, but that's when mentors make a difference. They do, and I think people have to figure out. And I'm not saying everybody should be in a program where you got a kid, big brothers and big sisters, but you know what? You can go volunteer for a reading program, and it can be with little kids. It don't have to be with high school kids. It can be with little kids, man. There's so many things you can do if you want to do the go all out, big brothers, big sisters, whatever. In church you can volunteer for the youth ministry. You can say I'm gonna come down for one day a week or 3 days a month. It's so many things you can do to be a positive influence, man. And it's just hard. Even to get guys to go, because me and a couple of guys, we didn't do it this year. It gets a little harder. We would go stand on in front of the school, and when the kids come in, just give them high fives, and the kids love it. But it's hard to get guys to do that. Just be out there to say, hey, well, and it was so funny because we were out there one time, and this lady came back and said, hey, can I film y'all? She said, because I can't believe this. It was about 15 of us. It's black men out here doing this.
Yeah.
So I'm saying it's little stuff you can do.
I mean, yeah, it's little things you can do. Everything ain't for everybody, but I think it's find your lane, find your niche, and try to give it.
But you know what? Then you can donate to a program.
Yeah.
If you feel like that's not your thing, and you can donate to a program. You can give up a burger a week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's expensive too, by the way. Yeah, you can do something to contribute, man. Maybe you are a media person. You can promote something for somebody. There's so many things you can do. You can get involved and come teach kids about the evils of social media.
That's how we could be even thinking about when it comes to mentorship. Because I think some people got a old school mentality of it where it is like, well, I think I gotta find a place to go sit down and read with this kid and get one-on-one, like the old school Boys and Girls Club. But I think it is like different ways that you can contribute and help. Like whether it is like if it's financial, if it is maybe you are good at tech, or if you're good at just networking and putting people together, or marketing, and it's different ways that we can kind of contribute to the cause of mentoring and giving back.
Yeah, and again, and I said you may be good with social media. You may want to come work an after school program and teach kids about social media. Mm-hmm. I have a guy who comes in who give a shout out to Maurice. He comes in, man, and he works with kids through character through sports. You know, they do sports, but they got to like line up. He teaches them discipline and stuff. And you know, I got a guy that comes in, man, because I'm introducing them to my African American males, and he teaches them the fitness side of boxing. You know, the training side of it. You know, and I'm gonna tell you what's crazy about it. More girls get involved than guys. Anyway, which is crazy in all programs. I got a guy that comes in
because you know, if I was I already got hands.
They don't.
I'm about to say these kids don't fight.
They don't. And you know, and I got another guy that comes in. He teaches them the art of fighting without fire. He teaches them to be confident. He teaches them to be confident enough to know they can defend themselves, but be disciplined enough not to get in the fights. And they work. You know, he teaches the kids. So you do have some guys, but you get some people, man, who have these skills and you know don't come. You do. I do. A career day. Yo, come talk to them. Come just talk to a career day. Come out for career day and talk about what you do. You know, you guys done it for me before.
Anyway. So it's just funny though, because everybody they just how tall are you? How tall are you?
Yeah, but that's cool though. But you know what? That's okay though, because it sparks up a conversation, man, and kids get engaged. And some of them kids don't talk to teachers, but they talk to you. You know, some of them kids need an adult to talk to because you know some of them don't have a dad, man. Some of them ain't, you know, some of them ain't never seen, you know, black men in the room. They ain't been to jail. There's all kind of things that's new for some of these kids, man. You know, I just think of what people say when they find out, you know, when I tell them I've been married to your mom for 40 years, that's like, that starts conversation with adults.
Yeah, I know that.
The same person? Yeah.
And which that's a whole other thing. That's a wild thing to count your years of marriage if you've been in multiple marriages. Like that's not the
same person.
I've been married 15 years. Three.
I would never do that. That is funny. That is funny.
Look at that. Yeah, you know, that's usually when I get in and get out.
But when you know, it's not just hard to get fathers out. It's hard to get. There used to be a time when fraternities were volunteers in school.
The fraternities is different. They're not about what they used to be.
But it used to be a time where frats were volunteers. Now you can't even. Yeah,
and beating people.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, you can't. You know, it used to be a time where companies would give, like when I was doing stuff in Chester, we had, you know, different banks. They would get employees days off with pay if they volunteered. Like they would come out and do volunteer work.
We do that.
Yeah.
It's actually once a year. Yeah. And it's I think I want to say around Earth Day or something like that. In April. You do something in the community, but it has to be something I think that the company does together. It ain't like you ain't gonna do your own thing. You're not gonna like that. You're not going like that. I think it was another spectacular show. I think we probably could talk a little bit more about mentors, maybe the benefits. And still so many things I feel like we didn't talk about in terms of where they be at. Yeah, especially like the pilot. You go through everyone. Just as long as you don't boo me. Just as long as you don't boo me.
Happy Black History Month.
Yeah. That's actually interesting too. We can maybe finish on that. The idea of Black History. I heard Morgan Freeman say that. Like he made that argument or the debate about not celebrating Black History Month and saying that, you know, it's American history, and would you have a Jewish month? And like where does it stop? Like, do we just start giving everybody a month? So I think like that's where some people had some reservations.
What Devin said, I think makes sense. If you come to me and say it should be celebrated, you know, every month, I agree with that. And I don't see anything wrong with taking a month to just drill down in. And I agree it should be year round, but I don't see anything wrong with taking a month to drill down to make sure we talk about this.
There actually is a Jewish Heritage Month.
To make sure people understand, the contributions African Americans made to this country. So I don't see anything wrong with that. So I can't see why somebody's with it. Morgan Freeman, that's his choice.
Yeah,
that's his choice.
And what's crazy to Dennis' point, there is actually a month for pretty much everything now.
I mean,
everything. You got men's, women's. We got one for.
Morgan Freeman been famous for how long? Don't listen to people who are in a different tax bracket like that.
It's funny because we talked real quick. We talked about this last night on the show. But even stars have changed because you're talking about. Look at Bill Russell. Bill Russell was a huge advocate for civil rights and social change and social justice, and he was one of the best basketball players ever. You don't get that now.
Him and the trash man, you know, they pretty much making
the trash man.
Nah, he was not good.
Well, I understand what they're saying. I understand what you're saying too. But you know what it is? Because everything is a business. It's a dollar. It's a dollar, man.
Yeah, it is. But with him, he had so much to lose and so much, you know. So it wasn't.
The NBA wasn't what it was.
No, I agree. But he still. But another perfect example. I mentioned him last night. Was a guy who gave up the prime of his career, man, for what he believed in. Whether you want to get into Muslim, whatever, he believed in something so powerful, man. He gave up part of his career to stand for social justice.
I think that's actually an interesting thing too. Is like,
Kareem changed his name.
What do these people believe in? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what do these people ultimately believe in? I think that's shifted for us. Like during those times, it was like, yeah, we were black and we were proud. Like we cared about that. We cared about how we were being treated as a whole out there in the world. Yeah. We don't have that anymore. I think like that's why we don't see it, and even when it comes to sports, like, but I think it's not like James Brown, not James Brown, but Muhammad Ali and all these. They were black first, above everything. Jim Brown, they was black above anything and everything, and like being a professional athlete was secondary. You know what I mean? Now it's not like that. I think it's more so now these guys. But they were like, I'm a pro and I'm an athlete. I can't.
They were community minded, and I think that's the difference, man.
I'm a black.
Now man. It's like, and part of it is I think because they weren't that far removed from poverty. You know what I mean? They weren't making money in college. They weren't, and they experienced racism firsthand. I couldn't go eat there. I couldn't go there. Now, you got guys in college making millions of dollars, man. They don't know anything, and they can go anywhere they want to go. Ain't nobody tell them they can't go. In Kentucky, because you on a team, ain't nobody gonna stop you from going somewhere. You can still go. Now, the reality is there's some places in Kentucky you can't go.
It's still sundown.
But I'm saying if they never experienced that, they don't know that. And I think that's a lot of going back to what we said about, when mentoring stop, because is it being taught? Is this generation athletes passing on to the next generation? Because you got to remember, and that's why I was never really a Jordan fan, because Jordan never stood for anything.
You know what it is? Yes, and I think what
he never did.
What are we passing down ultimately? Again,
just do it.
Almost again, sports is a microcosm of society. Jordan was probably one of those first guys to be like, I don't care what y'all about. Like, this is about me. I'm Michael, and I think and Charles Barkley, he part of that generation too. Like I'm not a role model. Like I don't care about what y'all got going.
Charles growing up a little bit.
He has, but I'm just saying.
But he was during that time,
right. I'm just talking about the idea, the culture, and the mindset of more so where it shifted from we are the culture to where this is. I was gonna say OJ Simpson, but you know what I mean. It shifted from where it was we to me, and I think the remnants of that is again permeating throughout society right now, and I find it almost, it's like we almost struggling and looking for something what's missing. It's the idea of just being communal and decent human beings to each other.
Yeah, and that made me think about remember the basketball player. He played for the Nuggets.
Chris Jackson.
That was real. He played at LSU.
Yeah, right? Chris Jackson.
Yeah,
we talked about him last night too.
Yeah, it makes me think of him
Colin Kaepernick before was Colin Kaepernick.
Standing for something.
Yeah,
and then you don't see a lot of things like that nowadays.
And they didn't support him. And they didn't support him. Now everybody talk about how they wish they would have.
Man, I wish I would have did
that. But look at Colin Kaepernick, the same thing. Nobody supported him. And now everything he talked about is happening. And everybody, he was a troublemaker, he was all this, and you had to. I can't do this. Everything is happening now. So I think it has changed, man. And I don't know how you get back there. But it's not just there. It's the same thing. Companies don't have a problem now. They don't. Companies don't have a problem now being racist or they don't care anymore. They were trying to build a prison, and this is kind of crazy. They were trying to build a prison in Maryland, right? A Canadian billionaire owned the warehouse, and he was going to sell it to ICE. Not one company in the United States protested. Not one. Check this out. Canada protested so bad that the largest average, first of all, politicians would tell him don't do it. He said you still want to do it. people who work for him. His union said, yo, if you do this, we don't go on strike. He's still going to do it. The largest advertiser who advertises with this company said, yo, if you sell this building to ICE, we're pouring our dollars. So you're not going to sell the building. Now, how many companies over here? None. Now, one American company stood up to the fact and said, yo, we pouring, nah. So,
they do the work overseas.
But that's crazy.
But
that's crazy when another country steps in, you know, and you don't do it for your own. To what we just talked, that is crazy. Because they're not impacted by this. They not, you know, they getting immigrants in this country. But you got Canadians who stand up and say what's right and wrong in this country. So they're setting a better example for our kids than we are.
No. It's like where is it going to be safe at? Who knows?
And your mom talking about moving to Canada.
But Canada is not that much better. It's not a lot of us up there. We can talk about this another day.
It's cold.
It's cold, and they do have some. They got some pockets of that racism too. All right, I'll say it. Africa, it's a little bit better.
It's cold.
Africa, it's like I think I like Devin with Africa. You want? I think. Hear me out. Puerto Rico. Why? I know it's the U.S., but they're never going to go there. You know. Look how they.
Yeah, some Americans don't even
know it's a part of the U.S.
Well, you heard the president said. Trump said he wants to talk to the president of Puerto Rico.
Exactly. He wants to talk to himself. So that's exactly.
I was cracking up when I heard that. Man.
I think that's the best place we could move.
That was the funniest thing.
Thank you for watching the vlog.
That was the funniest thing I heard when he said that.
Appreciate y'all, man. Another great episode. Listen, we need mentors. We need guys to step up. And like you said, you can do it any type of way. Appreciate you guys.
Take it easy. Good enough.